Hey everybody, Jon Fabro here, creator of Blinks. Sorry we're running a little bit behind. It looks like I just went through my whole intro to a button that said go live still. So let me try that one more time. Welcome back to another one of our Lunch and Learn live streams. Jamie's going to be joining us shortly. We just got Ernie back from the vet. I was mentioning that our live streams are live from New York every week, and that means that during quarantine we just entered phase 2 today, so that means we could bring Ernie to the vet and get him checked out, and good news to share, which is Ernie is healthy. I know everybody was hanging on the edge of their
seat. He gained a few pounds from quarantine.
That's Ernie's gaining pounds and I'm losing weight, so I'm gonna figure out how to turn that the other direction. Mm-hmm. Today we've got some games that we're gonna play from our existing library. Later this week we're going to share some games that are in the works. Hey Jonas, hey Lee, awesome. See Lee and Mike, Jonas, thanks so much for being here on time. Mm-hmm. And I figured for today's live stream I'd not only would we play some of the existing games, but we'd answer some of the questions that we received.
You guys just shout out if you can still hear us or if you can't hear us.
Yeah, it looks good. Cool. And YouTube just said excellent connection.
Oh, great. Good.
Let's see. And so, but we've been getting some really interesting and good questions, and so I wanted to share some of that. And then also we're going to come back to a little bit of what we can do with the developer tool, which is, if you've been watching the latest streams, you can tell just how excited I am about how much better that the developer tool we're going to be shipping is than all the previous iterations, and yeah, just getting better and better. Oh, and I should share one more thing. Jamie helped immensely last week and this week by for Kickstarter backers from our previous Kickstarter who have the orange sushi roll cases. These ones are a little bit different than the new ones that are going to be orange on the outside, but for our previous Kickstarter, the interior, these were a special run, and so you should receive those, and a note from me, and there you can keep a lookout for a nice little white package like this with the label on it. So Jamie put all those together. I guess, yeah. So a big thanks to Jamie. So without any further ado, let's see. So let's go ahead and get set up. So I said I was going to start based on some questions. So I'm going to start with, let's see. So from our Kickstarter backer, Fred, he asked, can you play games like Speed Racer, Honey, and Puzzle 101 with someone simultaneously? Like, could you compete to see who can last the longest in Speed Racer, or can you who can solve a puzzle first in Puzzle 101? And would you ever need an extra blink with the game on it to do this? So I think I get that question. It's, do you need multiple of the same game to compete versus each other? Or can you set it up to play with just one? So we'll go ahead and let's just do with the core set and expansion set. So we'll break out our blinks. And most of you watching probably already know the answer to this, but it's not intuitive right away that you can play multiple versions of the same game with two people. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's find, you want to do Speed Racer to start?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. And I found Puzzle 101, so we can get that set up. So to compete in Speed Racer, we're going to find Speed Racer. And Jamie, you want to set this one up?
Sure. We're just going to hold it down. It is blue. Connect it to the other blinks. And we'll teach the other blinks how to play.
And so to play Speed Racer, all you need to do, or any of the other games, all you need to do is load the game once onto blinks, and then they'll remember that game until they get taught a new game. So if you want to play Speed Racer versus 3 players, 4 players, 5 player, doesn't matter. All you need is one Speed Racer blink. And so as we get newer and newer games, this one looks a little bit low, but that's okay. I'll race with that one. So to play, we'll set up, all right. And so to start with Speed Racer, when you double click, it auto routes, and then let's go ahead and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one just appears orange because the battery is going a little low.
Yeah, let me get a... Oh, and actually, this is a cool trick to share. So when you replace the battery, the blink returns to the game it knows, unless you're able to change the battery really quickly. And so watch this. I'm going to attempt this live here. So if I go ahead and open up the back, if I'm able to pop out the battery and put this one in really in under a couple seconds, it'll just remember the last game it knew. So let's see what I can do here. So it was worth a shot. There's a little bit of a capacitor in there that, well, it was worth a go. So let's go ahead and find our Speed Racer. You can always count on a first-time experiment happening on our live streams. All risks.
And I guess, I don't know if this is part of the question or not, but, you know, I guess, like, what orientation this goes in, this one, or the puzzles, it will not be the same puzzle, or it won't be the exact same. It'll be random.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So, actually, this is a really cool point.
Also,
Yeah.
So what Jonas was saying, exactly, for the same player as the other player, right?
So, let's go ahead and play one real quickly, and then let's try. We'll try something out with the developer tool to answer this question.
Okay.
So
right now, it's just random for Jon and me. So it may be,
so it might be easier for me
or harder for one of us, especially in Puzzle 101. You can get easier, or harder puzzles because the puzzles are random right now. But so we'll just play how we usually do, and then you just pick it once.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. No!
5, 6, 7, 28.
So Jamie's was clearly easier. Good game. GG.
So maybe we should address Jonas's point?
Yeah, so Jonas asks, can you play the same, can you get the same starting position? And let's see how this works. Let's just give this a shot. So,
is it the same starting position, or where it's the exact
same path
for both you and me?
Let's see if we can do it. So I'm going to open up. Let me do this. So I'm going to open up Arduino since it's an open source game, and we're going to open from the sketchbook this is speed racer, so expansion set speed racer. Okay, and so here, Arduino, let me go ahead and change which window. Okay, so we've got speed racer's code here. I'm going to scroll down to our setup, and in setup we have one line here which just says randomize. I'm going to comment that out, and I'm going to recompile it. Okay, so let's go ahead. You can see here, so I'm going to go press upload, and you'll see it compiles, and then once it starts, it's going to upload to all of these blinks. I'm kind of excited to see what happens here. Once again, this is a situation where I don't know if this is going to work, but I have a hint. I have an inkling that it just might. So what I've essentially done is when you call randomize in the blinks, it samples entropy. It I believe relies on some of the mechanics of the blink and the button. I should check with Josh exactly on that. Oh, let's see. That's not very promising. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Interesting. Commented out randomize. What did we get? Huh. Ooh. I'm pulling the battery and putting it back in. It seems I totally crashed the blinks.
Oh.
So I wonder what it is about not calling. Huh. Let's see. And I guess this is also helpful to see. So in the games that we've shipped, whenever you mess with the code, there's a chance that you could introduce a bug, something that could crash the blinks. It's not so common that I see that happen, but it's a possibility. I'm actually going to just upload to this one just to see if that's actually... oh, I wonder if it has to do with the new developer tool. No, it doesn't. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, this is a good bug to find. So, you know, this is not obviously not in a shipping version of the product, but in theory, if we wanted to play this game so it were the same for both of us, we could load it on without the randomize function, and it should generate the exact same, let's see, oops.
A non-randomized path.
Yeah, a non-randomized path. So we should have the exact same path each time. This is kind of like blowing into the, what do you call it? Into the cartridge of a Nintendo. So just resetting all of them by popping the battery out and just putting it back in. It's kind of the first. It's kind of like, did you check the power button? That's a hard reset. Oh yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So that was a failed experiment. We'll try to edit the code a couple of other ways. I'm not exactly certain why Speed Racer behaved that way when we commented out randomize, but it's definitely worth looking into, and maybe on one of our developer live streams we can address that exact problem. So let's go ahead and try, let's see.
You have to comment out this avoid setup empty.
Setup should be able to be empty just fine. And it is compiling and it's uploading, but it seems that we're somehow, yeah. I honestly don't know what the why that would cause that issue. But so let's go ahead and try. Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Next question. So, does the dice widget allow for multiple colors of dice, or are they all the same color? So let's go ahead and grab widgets. So the widgets blink. If you look through actually the history of this one, it's kind of neat. It started as a bunch of different tools to make your own games. And then we decided to make games for the widgets. And when we created the dice, the spinner, the coin flip, and the timer, we wanted them to be easily identifiable in each of their modes. And so when it loads up dice, you can see that the dice roll of Vegas red is what we selected there. And so when you hold one down and change mode, they go into the different modes. One of the reasons why we left the dice red in this version is so that it's really easy to recognize that it's dice. Once we start to use other colors and we want the games to be easily recognizable. So if I switch the and here's the other reason. So the other reason why we put all the dice red is when you're playing widgets, you can change mode. And so I've got a bunch of dice here, and I've got a bunch of spinners and a bunch of coins, and you can send them all into motion just by clicking any one of them. But if you chain them all together, they all roll or spin at the same time. And we thought that was kind of a nice thing to be able to incorporate into a game where maybe you make a game where you say, okay, I need a color and a number. And you just say, okay. And if the dice were changing color, the number was fixed to the color. And it just felt like it was kind of like...
Oh, so like 3 would always be yellow, and 4 would always be blue.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly. And it just kind of felt like, oh, it's easier to tell, okay, that's a die, that's a spinner, that's a coin. And you can mix them up and easily spot them, even though they're all in motion. But...
So I guess, and I think what they're also asking is, like, could you have a blue die, a red die, a yellow, like different colored die in general?
So let's go ahead and do experiment number 2 with the code editor. So I'm going to switch over to Arduino, and I'm going to change from Speed Racer to widgets. Okay, so in widgets, let's see. So in widgets, we're going to look at, so we have outcome colors, and let's take a look at where the color, and you can see also if you wanted your dice to roll the same, in the same order, if you don't call randomize, feel like I know how that's going to end up if I try that. Let's go ahead and look at the code for set color. Oops. Okay, so set color, dice face display. Cool. So, dice face display, if it's 1, the color's going to go red on all these. So, we could handle this in a couple of ways. We could say, oh, I want a specific color for each of the faces, or we could make a custom color that maybe every time we load dice loads with a different color.
I think instead of having a different color for each number, it seems like
you'd want like a die color.
Yeah, a die color for all the numbers. But...
So we'll call this die color. And we'll replace that. Okay. So let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead.
And I'm guessing if you wanted like multiple dice of different color at the same time, then you would just load them one by one and just like, okay, we'll do red for this specific blink, we'll do blue for this specific blink, and then that would just be the die color.
That's pretty cool. So let's do this. Let's now find, let's see, dice. Okay, so we're gonna go to when we transition to dice. Okay. So currentWidget dice. Okay, so we want to know when this widget switched though. So waiting for change. So I only want this to happen when it when the current widget is not what it previously was. So I might need to do a little catch there so it only happens once. Let's see. Or, oh, and this is also kind of interesting. If I want it to be the same across all of the dice, they either need to have a set number of colors that they'd like to be.
Yeah.
So in this case, okay, I always like to create a little bit more work than, let's see, so we could do color, dice, colors equals, and let's just try this, cyan, so we'll start red, cyan, purple, oh, we don't have a purple, that's right, magenta, orange. Okay, so we've got these dice colors. Let's see if that compiles. And it's curious where die color is. So we're gonna actually replace all of our die colors with dice colors die color. Die index. Let's try that. So replace all. Okay, so now dice colors, die index, and we're going to need to create a die index. All right. So we're gonna have a byte die index equals, and we'll start it at 0. Okay, cool. So maybe what we'll do here is each time we'll increment that die index. Yeah. Change widget. I feel like we want, yes. Okay, I think this is going to be it. Target widget. Okay, die index. Target widget if target widget equals dice die index. Okay. All right. We'll see how this goes. Okay, this feels promising. Let's try it out. So we're gonna load it on here. Oh man, can you feel the suspense? Is everybody holding on to their seats? Yeah. Hey Di, welcome to our live stream. The comments have paused. I feel like it's silence goes over the crowd as we load the game.
Or they're like me and they're just going
as the code window opens up. I should always note that playing blinks requires no understanding of code, but you just happen to have the opportunity to. Okay.
Right.
So we started with red.
Right.
So who knows if it's working yet? So if we change.
So the next time it goes to die, it should be a different color. Is that the idea?
I think so. That was my goal here, was that it should increment the next time we come back to dice. Okay, so that's our timer. Let me switch over to a better view here.
Oh, it did.
It did it. All right.
Dice decided now. Good work, John.
So if we want blue dice,
then you can just separate them out.
And how about you make another color a dice?
Yeah. Oh, this was a smart way of doing it. I was gonna do something stupid and like have you just reset it and have to actually physically reprogram the blink every time you want a different color.
It's kind of nice, right? To be able to just.
This is actually much better. There we go. Dice of different color. Good work.
Cool. I actually kind of like that. It's not so bad. Like every time you come back, if you just want red dice, that might be a future iteration for. So it's interesting. So like all of the games that have shipped feel like they're all in really good states. You can play all the games. They feel really good. But there's like small tweaks and things like that are really good suggestions. And I think that incorporating them, little adjustments make sense. So like there's certain things that we can squeeze in where somebody goes, it's kind of a pain that in Barry, when you wake it up, when you wake a fallen asleep Barry, it ends up advancing one of the pieces. Oh, shoot, let's fix that, and we can catch it. Or if it's, for example, in Bomb Brigade, like, the button responsivity, there's certain things that we can update there. But I think it's this is kind of a nice.
This is cool.
Nice addition to widgets.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So now we've got 4 colors of dice. And this is also kind of cool because this enables a different type of game. These are your dice, these are my dice, and they're affecting each other because we're rolling them all together.
Right. That is cool.
Cool. Frank, thanks for asking this question. That was a good question. Yeah. You take a quick. Okay. So let's see. The last question. Can the developer blink be used for playtesting? I don't know anything about coding, so I don't think I could use it for that. But I was wondering whether game developers could make their games available for playtesting, and if so, if we could do so using the developer blink. I've playtested several regular board games, and I think this would be something I'd be interested in if available. So I think Frank's asking, can he use a blink, a developer blink, to load games that need playtesting, and playtest them himself, even though he's not a developer? And the answer to that is yes, actually. A number of backers have bought the developer kits just so that you can have access to all the games. And even like today, this little adjustment to widgets, I can post on the forum today, and then anybody in the forum can try this out themselves. So the answer to that question is, yeah, developer kits are a great thing to have, and the developer blink is a great thing to have. It requires, it used to require more technical savvy, simply because the developer kit for the alpha and beta required a little bit more risk-taking of potentially bricking a blink. And, the new developer blink does not come with that risk. And it's really, you still open up Arduino and you still get to see the code, but you don't have to know anything about the code. And if you're curious, you can poke around. In fact, Thursday, maybe I'll just show that process as well. But Thursday we're going to be playing some more games that are in development, and we're going to share those with you.
Yes.
And
you can just take a look at how you can load a game onto the Blinks without having to touch the code.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of the best values of Blinks is because they're able to learn an infinite amount of games.
Mm-hmm.
They can be adjusted over and over again. Even if you yourself don't know how to make that adjustment, we have people in our forum suggesting rules they'd like to see to games, and then other people in the forum saying, here, I made that.
Right.
So,
Cool.
So those were the 3 questions that came in. Fred, I thought those were really great, and I thought they were really good content for the live stream today. Let's see. Di's super excited to hold their Blinks. Awesome.
It doesn't have one.
Yeah. I think, and there's lots of people who have been watching our streams after the fact. So lots of people waiting for their Blinks and excited to get them. It's a good time for me to remind everybody. I actually kind of expected us to play more games today, but this is
cool.
This was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time for me to remind everybody that if you're waiting for your Blinks, if you backed for the community set and you want the core and expansion, there is still a limited quantity available on our website. Move38.com, and we're shipping those. Those go out within a couple, within the next day, and then in domestic shipments are showing up in under a week. The international shipments are still seeing some delays due to COVID, but we're seeing them land, which is really important. Oh, Brian asked another question. I don't know if that was answered. The new dev Blinks.
If I want the new dev Blink, should I get the new programmer tool?
Great question. So the things that are the same from the first developer kits, and actually I owe all of everyone with a developer kit in hand a response on this. There are some redundant parts, and so the programmer, the USB programmer, you don't need again, and I'm going to make an addition to the backer kit with a heavy call out that this is only for people who already have developer kits. It will come with the developer Blink and the tools necessary except for the redundant tools. So I think it's nice to have the new Pogo just so you have the full set. But we're going to make sure that essentially anybody who's already got the existing developer kits, we make it easy for you to get the new, just the developer Blink, and we're going to do those essentially at cost. So Brian, yeah, and definitely reach out to us personally. We want to make sure that all of our developers that have developer kits in hand have no trouble getting the new hardware, even if it's helping you modify the new hardware to take advantage of this new tool. So let's see. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, and we'll follow up with that in a Kickstarter update as well. Cool. Unless there are any other questions that come in, I think Jamie and I are going to play some colorful dice games, and we'll see you on Thursday. All right, Mike, Di, Brian, Lee, CJ, great seeing everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday. Keep showing up. We're excited to see you, and keep blinking.
Yep.
I'll find a
Better.
good tagline.
Yeah.
We'll get there.